Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are thrilled to have all of you. Thank you for sharing some time with us. We have muted the audience so that we don't have everyone talking all over each other. So we've got everyone muted at the moment, but at the end, certainly we plan on taking any questions that you might have. So we'll get through the content here today for Skype for Business and, again, take all the questions towards the end. We're expecting this to last about 35 to 40 minutes. But certainly we'll get through the content and we'll get there. So thank you again for sharing your time today. First and foremost, I would like to introduce the team from Netrix that I've got on the call. I am Sarah Blangeri. I'm one of the sales managers at Netrix. And I've also got Vitas Castanunas. He's one of the managing partners of the firm on the call as well. And I've also got Tim James, who will be running a majority of the content today on the call. And he is one of the senior UC Microsoft sales engineers that we have on our team. What we plan on covering today is how we work today as coworkers, as employees, as people, and explain to you what is Skype for Business, formerly known as Link. We plan on providing a live demo, going through the different deployment options, architectural requirements, planning a deployment and items to consider. We'd like to share with you a client testimonial and then certainly the top reasons to go to Skype for Business as a technology. Before we get into the rest of the presentation on all the technical Skype for Business solution, I thought it would be a great idea this morning to introduce Netrix to you and why our clients like to work with us. We are a 30-year-old IT engineering and technology firm and service provider. Our headquarters is based out of Bannockburn, which is a northern suburb of Chicagoland. And what's important to note is that is where our cloud management center resides, where we are truly 24/7, 365 days a year, monitoring, alerting, and managing all the clients that we support and we manage. We also have another location downtown that is an experience center where we encourage and invite any of you to come and see and get a tour. That's where we have purposely built out that particular office for all the various technologies that we deliver services around so that our clients and partners and vendors can see that technology live in production, but also spark ideas. So we encourage anyone to come down there and schedule an appointment with us to see a tour. But certainly we don't just have locations in Chicago and in Bannockburn. We've actually got folks scattered all over the United States helping support and build solutions for all of our clients on a global scale. Here are some of the core solution areas in which we provide solutions around. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details of all these services that we offer, but certainly if you see something here that interests you or you'd like to talk to us about, feel free to reach out to me directly, and we can certainly help you with that. Today we're going to be certainly focused on unified communications and Skype for Business and that technology. But another important item that I wanted to share with you guys today is what we see that is really common in the marketplace today with all of our clients is that there are many disparate technology solutions that are out there that are necessary to make business work today. And a lot of technology firms or IT firms throw technology at a solution, and you end up with a poor end user experience. Whereas at Netrix, we take a more of a human-centric approach where we like to start with the end user. We believe it's really, truly important to research and ask a lot of questions about your end users, behaviors, and their needs, not only for today but for the future, so that when we deploy a solution, it is truly successful because the adoption rates are high, that the end users will actually use the solution that we've put into place. Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah. So one of the important things I want as we're looking at this demonstration and you think about Skype for Business is sometimes people think, oh, it's just a soft client, it's just I am in presence. But it isn't just a soft client. You can consume this in multiple different ways. From a device perspective, either mobile phone, whether it be an Android phone, iPhone, iOS, iPad, Windows mobile phone, certainly a full Windows client, but there's also a Mac client. You can extend into the boardroom or conference rooms where you've got these Skype room systems that are tightly integrated in for video conferencing and collaboration experience. It does have voice capabilities, full phone capabilities, both a physical phone, as we'll show you some endpoints in a later deck or a slide, VDI capabilities. Most of you, or some of you for sure, have joined today through the web app client, where just having a browser and the simple plugin, you're able to consume the same content that anyone that had the full-blown solution in their environment could consume. And the Surface Hub is very similar to the Skype room system. It's just the newer version that's going to be coming out hopefully later this year, early next year from Microsoft. It's just an extension of kind of this Skype room system. This is just kind of a high-level kind of takeaway slide for you, because we'll be demonstrating quite a bit of this in the live demonstration. But just kind of showing you that on the far kind of right lower corner, you've got your main client, which is giving you your I am in presence. Up above is showing you an actual conference where someone is sharing out their desktop screen. There's also people participating up in the gallery up above the content that's being shared out. That could be just a picture if it's just an audio call, or it could be live video as well. And the active speaker shows highlight kind of the little blue line. It's really hard to kind of see in this particular demonstration, or on this slide, but that's kind of the active speaker in that particular thing. Over on the left-hand side, you're seeing the dial pad where people can dial out, and then also the active call, where this could be just a HD picture similar to what you're seeing of Sarah and myself on your thing. But it's a really rich client, and as we progress on, we can go, oops, excuse me. Just a second. Did the slide advance, Sarah? Okay, Sarah, is it on the mobile clients?
Nope, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, it's just it didn't give me the option to take over as presenter for some reason. So anyways, as I was showing, it extends onto the mobile client where, like I said, you can use your iPhone. The Skype for Business mobile client is now available as of a couple weeks ago on iOS and iPhone devices. It should be coming out sometime before the end of the year on Android. It works on tablets as well, and giving you the same kind of experience that you would have mobily that you would sitting at your desktop. Not all of the features are there, but quite a few of them, enough to where you could consume and participate and do video conferences, view content that someone is sharing out. Same experience if you're sitting in an airport, coffee shop, or anywhere else if you didn't have your PC with you. Today you joined through the web application client. Again, you're seeing the experience. You're probably seeing the gallery view with content in the middle, with the little heads of people that have the HD video in there, or HD photos in there. The same thing, you can think of this as like a WebEx replacement, where even if a customer that I may be presenting to or setting up a meeting for, or outside parties that you're having meetings with, having that same rich experience without having them to have a solution like that on premise, or any expensive solutions to try to make them do a fancy plug-in that getting all these additional capabilities. It's just a simple click, join, and add in your your name and join. It's a pretty slick experience. Then there's also the Mac client. So although it hasn't yet been updated for Skype for Business, it's coming very shortly, and you'll get the same similar experience that you do on a full-blown PC. With I am in presence, you have the call capabilities, video conferencing. You can view a desktop share on a PC. And also the PowerPoint content as well. You can whiteboard, etc. So all the same kind of capabilities that you would expect in a PC client, you also have through a Mac. The Surface Hub, as I mentioned, it's a very rich experience. So it's really designed to be in a conference room where, hey, in the past, it would always be 5-10 minutes of setup. Someone would get in there. Sometimes you'd have to go in early just to make sure that everything's kind of uploaded. Here, if you schedule a meeting ahead of time, you're walking right in, joining your meeting just by touching. It's a touch screen. It's got cameras, microphones in the room already, and as they're demonstrating here, they're whiteboarding, but there's also a video conference up in the left-hand corner of a remote participant. They can also see what's going on in the room as well, being able to whiteboard, share PowerPoint applications. You can also plug into a USB port to share some content on the PC as well and do desktop share that way as well. So you're really getting a rich conference room experience as well, and whether you're in the room or you're remote, you're all collaborating together. The Skype room system, it's very similar. In this particular configuration, you're seeing a dual panel where the one side is sharing content, the other side is participating in a video conference experience. Again, very rich and robust solution. And again, as Sarah mentioned, these are all solutions that we have available in our Experience Center. So if you wanted to see them in person and see them in use, we certainly encourage you to reach out to Sarah to come experience it. Okay, with that, I will demonstrate my client. Just give me just a second here. Okay, so minimize this. Can everybody see the screen? Sarah, everyone? Or anyone that's still live?
Yeah, we can see it.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so first thing is the Skype for Business client. So as you can see through, these are all people that I've just added in my contacts that I can group in various different groups. There's a default one called favorites where I can just say, hey, add them to my favorites group. They're automatically kind of pushed to the top. So I can see at a glance any of these folks, whether they're green, meaning available, if they're red, or they're away. The other thing you may not notice at first is as you glance through this, some of these are internal folks. This particular person happens to be a good friend of mine in the UK who's just using the Skype Consumer, so we can do the Skype Consumer Federation as well, and see I am in presence, do instant messaging, share desktops, etc. The other thing you'll notice is that up at the top, my own presence, automatically, because I took over and started presenting content, it changed my status. I didn't have to go in and change my status to busy or unavailable. It automatically detected that I am presenting content and put that on there. You also notice the little minus within the red icon there. That's also saying do not disturb. So if someone tried to instant message me, I wouldn't get the notifications. They would get a message back saying that he's presenting or unavailable, try again later, so that people don't disrupt your particular presentation. Now I could easily come in and override that and say that I'm available or busy. In this case I'll put busy so I can show some pop-ups in a short minute here. But the important thing with this first page is thinking of the collaborative experience. Let's just say I'm authoring a document, or I just got an email from Jerry or someone. I could say, oh, you know what, I want to ask him a quick question. I could double click him just as that, and that pops up the window where I can say, you can ask him the question. If he truly is available there, he'll type a message back, and we can escalate to instant messaging. From there, we can go beyond. In this case, I'm going to probably pick you, Sarah, because I know you are available. And as you can see, as I added a second conversation there, it stacked it automatically, so I don't have to look at, I've got an IM window to the left, to the right, somewhere buried behind some of my screens. It's right there in a tabbed format, so I can click between them very easily. I can say hello to Sarah. This minute that she starts to type back, we'll see that it's showing that she's typing a message back. And at that point, we could escalate and say, hey, can we just do an audio call? Now, I can't demonstrate actually making an audio call right now because I'll disconnect the audio from this particular conference bridge, but it's as simple as clicking on the phone, and I've got options. I can just do a simple Skype call, just a VoIP call. I can call a work number. I could click new number and just dial an external number, type in her cell phone number or house number, whatever it may be, to reach her, and it will automatically call out and connect me to Sarah, and we can have a audio conversation. I can also hover over or click the video button here, and that turns on my video camera. At first, before it actually starts my video, it does like a little preview, so you can, if it's pointing up at the ceiling and you don't want them to see kind of from here on up, then we can adjust the camera before I actually start sharing my video. And I can click that video or start my video, and I'll actually do it within the meeting window here in a minute to show you how the video looks on the gallery view. So it's as simple as that. We can also escalate to sharing my desktop, like I'm doing right now for you guys in the conference, just by presenting my desktop. If I have multiple monitors, it would give me a choice of which monitor that I want to share out, or if I share them both out. I can also have the option to present programs, so any open programs at the time, I could share out my Outlook is what I have open right at the moment. If I had Excel or something else open, I could easily share out that content as well. I can also present PowerPoint files. Now, the difference between having PowerPoint open in my background and sharing it out there versus the PowerPoint files is what's referred to as the Office Web Apps Server role, which basically converts the content to HTML, the PowerPoint content, into HTML5 format, so it's more friendly to present on the internet. So the content that Sarah was presenting earlier in the slides and the videos, that was all done through this present PowerPoint files. It just gives it a more rich experience. You can embed audio and video. You can see the transitions, actions, and so forth. So it's just a much more rich conferencing experience. I can also add attachments, so I can drop and say, hey, take a look at the spreadsheet, and drop it in the window and share that content immediately. She can download it and review it. There's also opportunities to create a whiteboard. I will do that in the conferencing client here in a second, a poll or Q&A. I just want to show you some of the options from the basic client. And the minute that I do some of these capabilities over here, it turns it into an automatic conference. So beyond that, I'm going to close this for a second, and I'll just finish quickly going through the console. So there's also something called persistent chat, where it's like a chat room, and the content stays there for whatever duration that you state. So a common use case for this might be a help desk scenario, where somebody calls into the help desk and they have a chat room set up. That help desk agent could take the call and say, hey, we've got a report of Exchange being down, or people aren't able to connect to their email. That help desk engineer could call to the Exchange team, find out, hey, Exchange, we know that it's down. We think it'll be back up by 1 o'clock this afternoon. And they could type that into this chat room where it stays for the other agents. So if other agents start to get and you can see as I just double clicked on that, obviously we're just doing some testing, but I can go all the way back to when we first started putting some content back a year ago, and where that help desk engineer could look in here and say, okay, yeah, it looks like by 1 o'clock we should have our Exchange services restored. That's our latest update from the Exchange team, so people can stay informed. Now that's just one use case. There's always other use cases. It's probably not the most common use that people have used this for, but it's certainly there, and you can deploy that role if you choose to. This other option is where you kind of get your call log in your IM call, where you have capabilities to kind of see previous conversations that you've had, where you can simply double click and open them and review, hey, yeah, I remember talking to Samir yesterday, and I want to see what his response was because I forgot what he had said, or I need to prove that hey, no, you said on Tuesday that we could do it this way, and that's why I took my actions. So, but it also has my call logs, and I can show missed calls. I can just show just calls, so I get different views there as well. Next tab is where, if you're using enterprise voice and voice capabilities, where you have your dial pad. It also, I can either use my 10 key on my keyboard and dial a number. It will, I can click dial there and it'll automatically dial. I could also do, well, let's say 1-800-PIC UPS, and I could just type in the words. It's automatically normalizing it for me. I don't have to look for how do I spell PIC UPS on my particular dial pad. So it's just a simple dial pad there. Again, I can use my keypad on my keyboard. I can manually type it in there. If I had a phone device, I could dial it there. But it's a nice, convenient way. The other pieces to note in here is my voicemail. This is all integrated into this tab. So voicemail is stored in Exchange. So you would have an Exchange unified messaging server, whether it's on-premise or if you integrated it in with Exchange Online and leveraging the Exchange mailbox there, that's where that would be stored. So I can simply double-click. Obviously, when I'm on a call, it's not going to do it, but if I look for open item in Outlook, it's stored. I got it for voicemails right over here in my search folders. I can see Sarah's got her voicemail right in here. It did a transcription for me. Most of the time it's fairly good. Sometimes it's very entertaining what it actually transcribes for you. I can click right here to play it, read it, I can respond to it. But it's all very nice and right within the console here. You can look at it here, or it will show up in your inbox within Exchange. I can also click here, I can change my greeting, set up my voicemail, just call voicemail, where you would get some of the unified messaging capabilities where it could read you your email, read you your calendar, you could tell it that you want to cancel your meetings for today, etc. So, but that kind of gets into the whole discussion on Exchange, just to know that it's there and it's integrated in tightly with Skype for Business, as it's really the only true solution out there for voicemail. This next tab is just showing the calendar. So if you notice, some of these are black, and this one in blue happens to actually be scheduled from our internal Skype for Business solution. So that just shows me that I can right-click, join, double-click, and join. I can also look at my calendar within Outlook and join that way as well, and it'll automatically pick up and join the meeting. Jumping down to some additional voice features, as you can see here, I've got my choice of my primary device that I want to use. In this particular case, I've got two devices plugged in. I've got my, I'm using a Sennheiser headset, a wireless deck set, that I'm using as my default device, so anytime an incoming call comes in and I pick it up, it'll be handled on that. I could also change that. I've got an audio codes 440 HD physical phone on my desk that I could use that one as well. It's got a speakerphone, and I can easily change those just right on the fly. To the right of that, I've got some call forwarding and simultaneous ringing features. In this case, you can see it's giving me a description saying that I'm ringing my link client and I'm also ringing my mobile at the same time. It's just as simple as coming in here. I can choose, hey, I want to forward options to one of these numbers, or just forward all my calls to voicemail, or let's say I'm going to be at a different number, my cell phone died, I could put in another number in here to forward all the calls coming in to me to that number. And it's just all user driven. I don't have to worry about going into a PBX and programming things. Obviously, you can restrict some of these capabilities as well, but most people like the ability to have this in their end users' hands and less work for them. So in this case, I can also do call forward settings, and I get turn off call forwarding, forward all my calls. I can simultaneous ring, and then I can also set up things such as team call. So if I said there was like 3 of us in a particular group, and for whatever reason I had to step away or I was out in a meeting, I could have a team call so that someone else could answer on my behalf, and it would ring and it would pop up in the little toast notification that pops up saying that this is a call for Tim James, and that other person in my team could then answer that call on my behalf. I can also set up delegates, etc. And the other thing to notice in here is I'm doing, in my particular thing, I'm doing, hey, I want this all the time, whether I'm away from, outside of work hours or not, that it will simultaneously ring my cell phone. If I didn't want that capabilities, I can just come in here and say, hey, only forward the cell phone number or simultaneous ring and during the Outlook hours, so 8 to 5, whatever I've got set within Outlook. Otherwise, it won't forward it. It'll just ring to that local one and go to voicemail if I'm unavailable. That's kind of the quick rundown of the Skype for Business client. So the important takeaways that I want to have from this is that it's a very collaborative thing where I showed, well, actually, I want one more thing I want to show you. So scheduling a meeting. So for instance, the meeting today where Sarah scheduled a meeting. It's just as simple as coming in here to click a new meeting. I can choose Skype meeting instead of just a regular meeting. I can also, if I selected a meeting, I can later push the button to make it a Skype meeting. But it's as simple as clicking it within Outlook. It automatically puts a plug in when you deploy the client. And I could invite Sarah to a meeting, and as you can see, it pre-populates everything with the URL, similar to what Sarah had sent out to you guys. So you can click on that to join. I've also got my dial-in conferencing information where I could also have multiple regions as well. It has my conference ID, and I can simply send that off, and it's automatically scheduled. So it's very simple, very easy to use. Pretty much foolproof as far as getting that scheduled. We don't have to go through a website or anything like that to schedule anything. So with that, I'm going to stop. Well, actually, I was going to show you the video real quick. So here within the meeting content, I can click Start My Video, and again, you can now see my video within the screen. And I should also still be presenting my desktop. So as you can see, as I'm talking, you're seeing the little blue bar underneath the my face and my picture, but you also see Vitas and Sarah and some of the others. They're not doing video at the time, so you're not seeing that. But if they turned on their video, you'd be able to see that across the board as well in the gallery view. And as you get past the amount of what's on your gallery view, some of those other ones get moved down below. So you can only just really see the active speakers at any point in time. It's also customizable. I could just lock it and say I want to lock the video spotlight so it's always on me. So if it was a broader session of some sort, CEO talking, something of that matter, you could lock that in so it doesn't change so people get that full experience. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting, and I'm going to turn off the video. And Sarah, if you don't mind sharing back out the presentation.
There you go, Tim.
Okay. So I demonstrated the real quick rudimentary capabilities of Skype for Business. However, this next slide really kind of digs into some of the additional, if you're looking at this as a phone system replacement. I'm not going to read through. There's a lot of features in here, and this session will be made available after the presentation today, so you can certainly download the content, or Sarah will get it to you to kind of see through some of the features. But it has almost all of the same features that you would expect in any PBX solution that's out there. You've got voice over IP, you've got simultaneous ring and call forwarding settings, you've got voicemail, you've got integration in with Active Directory, caller ID, all of the different capabilities that you'd expect. You could do analog devices that integrate in with it. You've got the AV and web conferencing capabilities as well. Some of the areas, the basic response groups within Link satisfies quite a few customers, as far as that would be where someone would call into a general number and it would get handled by, let's say, a group of 5 individuals, kind of like a miniaturized call center solution where you can, say press 1 for this, press 2 for that sales, and it would get routed into a response group where it would then get handled in the proper order that is established, where people could either automatically get signed in and in that queue, or they could have to manually sign in as well. When it goes beyond that, where you need a true call center, contact center solution, There are third-party solutions such as Clarity Connect as one that we use. Over on the right-hand column, you'll also see kind of Netrix enhanced features. These are all things that we provide a hosted offering as well, where some of these capabilities are options within our offering as well, but you could certainly deploy these on-premise as well. The other things that get common that people request are call recording and some call accounting capabilities. These are all things that we have built into our feature sets as well. So if you can advance that for me, Sarah. So this is just kind of quickly showing you it isn't just a soft phone client. You've got lots of different options. These are just some of the devices that are out there, some of the more common ones that we see. The top left corner is just it's a Windows Mobile client for the Skype for Business. We've also got a USB headset to the right of that, and then actually the device that I'm talking on right now is that Sennheiser. It's a wireless deck set, just plugs into the USB port, but then from there I can wander throughout whatever the range is on the deck, which is quite a good distance, and still be able to participate. The top right corner, that's a Polycom VVX line phone, and the kind of the middle section there's the first two on the left are a couple audio codes devices. The third one in is a VVX expansion module, which goes with that VVX phone on the top. So if you had a reception area that needed some more line appearances to be able to see people's presence and transfer calls, it gives them some additional line appearances there. In the bottom section there, that's just showing some of the room systems that we talked about, which the Link Room system or the Skype for Business solution, and also the Surface Hub on the right-hand side. The little satellite dish looking thing is a 360-degree camera panoramic. So if you're in a boardroom, it kind of flatlines everybody in the room, so everybody can see that panoramic view, but it also tracks the active speaker as they're speaking. And then just a traditional kind of star conference room phone that people sometimes just need a conference room phone in some of their conference rooms. So again, just showing you not just a soft client, we do have a lot of the different capabilities for lots of ways to kind of utilize the service, especially from a phone and video collaboration experience. So everything that we've kind of shown, there's really kind of what we'd consider some common scenarios and deployment models, right? So you could own this and deploy this on-premise, and if you could either manage it and monitor it yourself. Netrix also provides managed services offering where we fully monitor and keep track and have a service desk that will manage your solution, take care of any issues that you may have. There's also kind of a second scenario where perhaps you want to leverage us as a colo facility, or even, hey, we don't have a big data center, we want you guys to do this, we can host your infrastructure in our data center. And kind of the third kind of model that we typically do is in our UC as a service. So we do have a fully hosted Skype for Business offering where you can have all of the voice capabilities, all of the features that I demonstrated today with the collaboration, all managed and fully supported in our data center, so you don't have to have any infrastructure on premise there except for your phone endpoints and link clients. So it's pretty simple with how it works. The only kind of real requirements to going to our shared model is, and all of these solutions we're going to acquire, and I've got a slide coming up here in a minute to show you the different licensing models from an E perspective, from an enterprise CAL perspective. All of these require for voice capabilities an E4, so even if you're coming into our cloud offering, you would require an E4 license. That's what's, and it's soon to be replaced with an E5 once Microsoft releases it here, we believe before the end of the year. In our shared offering, the only other requirement that we have is that you have Office 365 mailboxes, because we can only connect to 365 for the voicemail solution in our shared tenant offering. If you wanted to do dedicated, we could certainly leverage your existing on-premise Exchange solution. This is just a quick reference architecture of what it looks like from architecture standpoint, so all of the features and capabilities that I showed you are held within that standard editions server, and this is just a very small deployment. We can talk about high availability in a second, but all of the IM presence, all the collaboration, all of the voice capabilities can all be handled by the single standard edition front-end server, and that's within the firewall. If you want to extend it out, being able to join remotely, not have to connect in through VPN, having the Link mobile clients, then that's going to require some remote access services, which is that edge server, and that with a combination of the HTTP reverse proxy solution, which you could leverage an existing reverse proxy solution. There's a couple free ones that you can leverage as well to publish those web services as well. Down in the bottom, kind of middle, that orange one with the Office Web App Server, that is where its only purpose really there is to transcode the PowerPoint file and make it into the HTML5 format so that you get that rich experience that we're experiencing with this slide share as we're doing right now. And obviously then the Exchange UM server, whether it's on-premise or in Office 365, can be leveraged. And then over on the right hand side, it's just showing you from your voice services. So what do you do for some of the branch locations? If we lost the WAN connectivity, we want to make sure that we still have some dial tone. There's appliances that you can put out there that would have that physical connectivity to a carrier that in the event that you lost the WAN, you may lose some of your IM and presence capabilities, but you can still make phone calls and not be kind of dead in the water. And the next slide is just showing you, hey, how do we make this highly available? So in this particular case, it's showing a front-end pool, and with Link and Skype for Business, it really requires 3 front-end servers and a back-end SQL database. And you can keep on going forever as far how much high availability you put in there and how much risk you want in your environment. But certainly it's something to think about as you're considering this as a voice platform, that it needs to be highly available. You know, if IM and presence not there, people are okay. Sometimes it's obviously a nuisance, but if they can't make phone calls, you know, for some it's critical, and you need to kind of take that into consideration. So providing that high availability. And then the other option in here, it's not shown on this slide, is for disaster recovery. We can do a pooled pairing where we set up another pool in another location. We can replicate between the pools to make sure that if we had to go down or we lost a whole server blade or whatever it may be, and don't have our front-end pool, we can resume the services over on another pool stored in another data center. And then you could have multiple edge servers, and again, we could have multiple survivable branch appliances in different branch locations, etc. So jump to the next slide, Sarah. So again, for licensing, it's pretty simple. We've got kind of the E1, E3, and E4, which is soon to be replaced with the E5. Most of the IM and presence and the basic capabilities are all included with the E1. The E3 really gives you kind of the whole conferencing workload, and then the E4 is where, if you want to leverage it for some of the voice capabilities, you'd need that E4 or E5. And again, just something to note that if you wanted to use this for our hosted offering, that you would required in E4. So if, for instance, you're on an E3 today, you would just need to pay the update to the E4 or whatever the E5 is going to amount to, which I think from E3 to E4 it's usually only a couple bucks more per user per month to get up to that license. So as you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, this kind of looks like something we might want to consider, some things just to consider, right? So if you're planning on bringing this in, certainly you want to get stakeholder buy-in. You're not going to have much success if you just try to force a solution in and try to force users to use it, unless you've got some champions that are trying to help you say, hey, this is our communications tool, this is our platform. You know, try not to resist or let us know so that we can help you use it more effectively. You'll be definitely more successful. Another piece in there, you know, some people, you've got some PBX teams that are out there that have been doing, let's just say, a legacy Avaya or Cisco solution for a long, long time, and they sometimes say, oh, well, you know, Link, it's not there yet, it's not there yet, and some of the times it's, hey, they just don't understand it and what it can actually do. They shouldn't fear it, because their expertise is going to be needed. Especially if you're going to be kind of deploying this on your own or supporting this on your own. So it's good that they know that. The other thing is discovery, right? Some things to think about. We won't go through all of them, but what are you trying to replace? Is it a phone system that had certain capabilities? Make sure to kind of document that and capture that so you know that, how do I do this in Link or Skype for Business? How are my users consuming the service today? Are they used to doing a 3-digit dialing? Are they used to certain phone features or capabilities like overhead paging, whatever it may be? That is certainly something to take note of and kind of document and make sure that you account for that in your solution. We mentioned call centers. Certainly, if you've got call center requirements, take a look at the response group. See if it can, for your basic uses, it will fit in your environment and you don't have to invest in a third-party call center solution. But if you do and you have some call recording requirements, know that there's some great solutions out there that can help you, and certainly Netrix can help guide you on that as well, to try to make sure that you have the correct vision and making sure you're getting all the capabilities you need to. Some of the others, obviously, reception areas. Those are sometimes pretty common where, hey, we used to have a reception and she had this particular phone that could do all of these capabilities. Make sure to capture those requirements so that we can find the right phone solution for that user. Looking in Active Directory, do you have numbers that are stored in there today? Are they in all sorts of different formats? Lync and Skype for Business are heavily dependent on E164. So if they're not in that format and you're looking at this as kind of a long-term project, you might consider maybe a project to look at what it would take to get all of the numbers in E164. It'll certainly make your life a lot easier. We can certainly do some phone number normalizations to get them in the right format. Within Lync, however, there can be lots of different variations out there, so as much standardization as you can do ahead of time, it certainly will make it go a lot smoother. And the last couple is just, okay, what do you have for connectivity to the outside world? Are you using PRIs? Is it time to kind of consider doing SIP trunks and some of the additional capabilities that a SIP trunk can provide that a PRI cannot? Do you have any legacy devices such as fax machines, or like I had mentioned earlier, like an overhead paging solution that would have like an analog interface? Make sure that you get that captured as well. And the last one here is just the dial plans. Like I mentioned, hey, 3-digit dialing. Do we have to, if we want to park a call, are we used to using a specific number or orbit range that we can kind of mimic and set up on Skype for Business as well? Certainly things that you want to consider. Important other variables, again, make sure that you're sizing your environment appropriately and the hardware that's going to be supporting your environment. It's very easy sometimes to look out there and say, hey, we only have 100 users and we're just going to give it 4 gig of memory, and we don't think it needs as much as it needs, or we're going to over allocate it in the VM environment, and then later on, after the pilot kind of takes off, you start having some performance issues. So making sure you size it appropriately and know that you can easily scale it up and build it out properly. Certainly want to take that into account. Obviously a big bullet point, kind of properly taking a look at your network. How is it being utilized today? Is it fully saturated? Kind of what are your WAN links? What are your limitations within the environment? Are you doing QoS? Certainly, Lync will have some impact on your network. If you're not doing any VoIP today, and now you're just kind of introducing, hey, not only VoIP, but we're doing video conferencing, desktop sharing. These are all things that can eat up some additional bandwidth. So properly planning and making sure that you don't just, hey, just wing it and throw it in there without properly assessing that and kind of knowing what that network impact is going to be is critical in having the solution work as expected and designed. So obviously, again, it's kind of like Outlook. When you have issues, even if it's an underlying network issue, they're going to blame Outlook because that's the most visible. So if they're having bad audio calls, or they're having dropped calls, or presence isn't working properly, or desktop sharing, they're going to blame Skype for Business and that deployment, and not so much the network. So getting that right is definitely key and critical. That goes along with that is also taking a look at monitoring your solution. So it isn't just Skype for Business services up or down, or servers up and down. It's monitoring all the services, monitoring the health of resources, monitoring the network. If you're using SQL for a Enterprise Edition pool, or even for your monitoring reports, making sure that SQL is healthy. These are all things to take in consideration, and looking at the whole picture, not just the one isolated server up and down type of scenarios. some people, you may have SCOM, that's great. There's some great packs that you can leverage on those, but there's some other third-party solutions such as Nectar, Event Zero, etc. out there that can definitely give you more detail and be able to drill down in as best as you can. So don't forget monitoring. It's often overlooked. Another thing, don't forget about your end users, right? We need to properly not only train your IT resources so they know how to support it, but also for the end users, how we can leverage this technology to do something maybe a little bit different than they're used to. Hey, in the past I'd use overhead paging to find somebody or to track somebody down. Now at just a glance I can look at their presence and see that they're available and instant message them. Do we really need overhead paging anymore, right? These are things to think through as the model kind of changes a little bit. We don't have to print off that big black book that we hand out to every new employee with all the numbers that are outdated the minute that it's printed. It's all live right within the address book. People can get numbers and click to call, and it's very simple. But do not forget to kind of train those end users to how to use it, otherwise they won't adopt it. And the last kind of bullet on here is, don't be afraid to reach out to a trusted partner. Certainly, we've gotten into lots of situations where customers tried to deploy it on their own. They had good intentions, and things kind of went amok. They just, it's real easy because there's a lot of folks out there that are doing multiple hats. They're not just in charge of Lync or Skype for Business. They're doing Exchange. They're doing Active Directory. Maybe they're in charge of the phone system, the network, doing it all. It's impossible to be an expert in all of those different technologies. So when it comes to deploying this, if you're taking it very seriously and using this as a phone replacement solution, don't hesitate to reach out to someone like Netrix to help kind of plan that, deploy that to whatever extent you want. It could just be some consulting hours to do the planning and design, and you feel like, hey, we can handle it from here. Don't hesitate. It's definitely going to be beneficial to you. And kind of the last kind of bullet there is, there's a lot of engagements that I go on where I'm told by customers, you know what, that 1 week that you came out and helped us do that deployment, I learned more than I would for any Microsoft certified classes that are out there. Yeah, it's tailored to your environment. It's very beneficial. So you get kind of some informal training in that process as well. Okay, so what are some key benefits? Just kind of as a quick review, obviously, enterprise collaboration is the big piece. Don't look at it just as a phone replacement solution. Don't look at it as just IM and presence. You've got a rich collaborative experience. So being able to escalate from just looking at presence to going to instant message somebody, to extending it to a desktop share, to being able to create conferences on the fly and be able to kind of replace a WebEx solution or GoToMeeting. You can also replace your dial-in conferencing provider. So if you're spending a lot of money on that, you'd be able to displace that and definitely help your cause and reduce your overall costs. Knowing also that, hey, it's a very scalable architecture. You can take anything from a small business where you're doing just a single front-end server deployment to a full-blown enterprise deployment with multiple front-end servers and having it highly available and also disaster recovery. Hey, I wanted to start small just for a pilot. Now I know that it's going to deploy enterprise-wide. What do I need to do? Do I have to throw out everything that I've done? No, we can easily adapt and get it up to kind of that enterprise class or highly available solution. Also, access anywhere, any device. You've got your mobile clients, you've got your PC clients, you've got a hard desk phone, you've got conference room equipment such as a video conferencing wall or a Surface Hub. Being able to have the same kind of rich experience on all of those devices kind of helps the adoption rate, and knowing that, hey, this is a trusted solution where it's just like picking up a cell phone to make a call. It's there, you can always use it. Replace your PBX. Certainly, this is a fully functional phone system. It's definitely of age, and it's certainly cutting edge when it comes to the full experience that we kind of demonstrated, having that capability, putting those tools in your end users' hands, being able to take calls from wherever you are in the world, having that DID number with you at all points in time, whether I'm sitting at a Starbucks coffee house or I'm sitting in my office. I've got that same experience. End users have the same experience. From the outside, they have no idea that you're not sitting in an office somewhere, and you can be reached. And we already kind of mentioned kind of the video conferencing integration. Obviously, the benefits of that is reducing your travel expenses, having that face-to-face communications to kind of see people's expressions, whether you're doing interviews with potential hires or it's a CEO presenting the budget to his key stakeholders. These are all great benefits of kind of the video conferencing. And then overall, your long-term ROI on this is fantastic, and it's kind of really hard to kind of justify and put some of the capabilities, the collaboration, and some of those experiences that really provide a great experience for your end users.
Thank you, Tim. I wanted to share with you a picture and a slide of our Experience Center, which again, this is our office that is located downtown Chicago on Wacker. This is where we have built out the entire environment, not just for employees to work there, but also for our vendors and for our clients to come get an actual tour and to see a lot of the technologies that we deploy in production live. A lot of what Tim has shared with everyone today is about the Skype for Business technology, unified communications, desktop sharing, IM, presence, and voice as a few of the features and functionalities that exist within that technology. But also, when you come to the Experience Center, you can see how that can tie into a boardroom experience, a conference room experience, open collaboration areas, and all the different technologies that integrate with a solution like this. So we invite any of you to come down to our Experience Center, just schedule that time, with me, and we'll give you a full-on tour, and we'd be happy to do that right away. We're right here at the tail end of the presentation for today in the webinar. We do want to take some questions here shortly. I have noted a few differentiators of our firm, of Netrix. I won't go through each item by item, but I did want to let you guys know that we were recently recognized, I'm proud to say, as one of the, we're the #1 Microsoft partner in the Midwest, so you're definitely in good hands with us working with your clients. And so any questions, we will certainly take them now. For those of you still on the call, I'll unmute you. Does anybody have any questions so far for today? Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate it, and for you sharing some time with us. I'll give it another minute or two if you want to pop in and ask a question. Okay, well, thank you Jim, do you have a question? Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining today. We certainly appreciate it. If any questions pop up after today's webinar, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. We plan on posting this webinar. We've recorded it, so we plan on posting it on a web page, and we'll be sending the link out to the folks that joined. Hi there. Did somebody have a question?
Yeah, this is Jim Tarling. I just had a question, a real quick question. Yeah. Will this work with Active Directory, or does it have to all be converted?
Tim, you want to handle that question?
Yeah. Skype for Business, it's fully integrated with Active Directory, so it requires Active Directory. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what happens is you would go in when you do your deployment, and you would kind of extend your Active Directory schema with what some of the attributes that are required for the Skype for Business service, similar to if you're using Exchange, right? So it's fully integrated in. So yeah, absolutely, it can't function without it.
Just making sure.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks.
All right, I think that's it for today. Sean, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, but that was a great overview. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for jumping on. All right, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sean. Everybody else has jumped off the call for today, but thank you for sharing the time. Have an awesome day.
Yeah, you guys too. Thanks.
See ya. Bye.